Good morning. The giveaway for this 2007 twin-turbo BMW 335i ends this Wednesday. Click on the link in the description, whynotyoudgear.com, buy a mug, digital download, you'll be entered to win. The giveaway ends this Wednesday. And now, we're going to talk about a vehicle that no amount of mugs or any sort of contest could let you have. I mean, get this one, because the one we're about to talk about is unavailable. You can't buy it, because there's only one of them. 1986 BMW E30 Gemballa. The designer went and got gotted twice in the back of the head. Twice in the back of the head in South Africa. Uwe Gemballa made cars for anybody who could pay. Pay with whatever. Cash, ass, or cocaine. Cocaine, right? You're paying with cocaine. You're ordering a Ferrari with hidden components. Just leave me the cocaine in there. Uwe? Uwe? I'm an American, so Uwe Gemballa, before he got gotted, was known for extravagant Porsches and Ferraris. He never did an E30. He did a 5 Series that ended up in Uday Hussein's collection, but not an E30 until this car appeared in Japan with no records, no paperwork or receipts. But this is a Gemballa. Uwe Gemballa made this E30 for a Japanese client off the books. Which tracks, Uwe did what he wanted. He traded favors with the hyper-rich, partied, and the rest of the company just rolled their eyes and just said, well, Uwe's gonna Uwe. This E30 traded hands and ended up at the Carlisle auctions in Carlisle, Pennsylvania, where it was won by Dominic. Dominic then drives it to Radwood, Philly, wins Best Import, and drives it straight to us. And it drives like every other E30 I've been in, except this has a Euro Spec straight 6 2.7 liter Super ETA block with a 325i cylinder head. So it's smoother, but without the M3 snap. The wheelbase has now become so wide, you can change your rear calipers with the wheels still on the car. You can't feel the width as you drive, but you are aware of it when another car passes. Holy crap, someone's work van is getting uncomfortably close to me. And this is uncomfortably close to a one-off, one-piece body kit. But it's not really a body kit. This is the body now. With functional tire coolers, kind of. And an extended fuel filler neck, so you're never reminded that this isn't the original body. BMW Gemballa E30. The perfect car for the Yuppie contingent. Convinced they're going to live forever off stonks and forbidden dandruff. In the 1980s, the Yuppie was a self-interested rebellion against the values of the free love generation, toward a more money-obsessed mindset. How to get money, how to keep it. Enough of this laissez-faire where the chips fall where they may. Garbage. The world is an oyster, and I'm shucking that bad boy and sucking out the protein to fuel my grind. It was the birth of what we might call hustle culture today, but without social capital being generated by how little sleep you brag about getting. This is the perfect car for performative opulence because it allows you to flex with something justifiably unique rather than indefensibly self-absorbed. From front to back, the BMW Gemballa is a love note passed around class and straight into the waiting fingers of capitalism. Less is not more. More is more, and more is what you shall have in abundance. As Dominic describes, the one-of-one body kit is made from a combination of fiberglass and cocaine-fueled design language, with one solid piece running from the front bumper to the rear bumper, so it's unbroken, unable to be removed. Oh, and the doors have extra skin riveted onto them to continue the molded bodywork, and you gotta be careful because there's a lot of real estate between the inside of the door sill and the outside of this body kit. And when we flip around and look at the rear, we have an ass like a Subaru Baja. I mean, look at this thing. It's like the car went and got a Brazilian butt lift, but it's stock-ish. People have paid good money to have things like this done on the aftermarket just to flex on tailgate Johnny, rounding the corner in his 7-year lease, rocking a dick too small to do the waistband tuck when he gets an inconvenient boner. A proctologist couldn't get a finger inside this thing. Zetus lapidus, look at that rump. And yet, there's no real substantial weight in the back. It's so bad that the tires rub together if anybody larger than Kevin James sits in the back. This Gemballa is a foot wider than an M3 E30 and 14 inches wider than a regular E30. Okay, so this is Eurospec. It started in Germany, went to Japan, now it's here in the United States. The engine it's comparable, I guess, to an M3 in power, although it's kind of hard because the M3 was a 4-banger and this thing's a 6. This thing, when it was new, was making about 250 horsepower, 230 pound-feet of torque, but now it's making much more tire rotate. I don't know. These wheels themselves are unique. They're one-of-one Panasport rims with a magnesium inner and an aluminum barrel. Yep, these are real two-piece wheels. And a recreation of the original Gemballa plate on the inside because someone at Carlisle Auction stole it. Calling out Carlisle Events here. Someone in your staff has sticky fingers. They stole the genuine Gemballa plate off this thing. So Dominic had to have one made, and it's missing Gemballa's signature on it. This air duct, I guess it is functional, although the only thing it's functionally cooling is the tire tread and sucking up crap, so it has to be cleaned after every drive. His trip to Radwood and up to here was about 200 miles, and he only went through a third of a tank on a 12-gallon tank, so fuel economy is estimated to be around 30 miles per gallon. And it runs really well. And that's from a combination of maintenance and mechanical use, since the odometer only reads about 26,000 miles or 45,000 kilometers. It feels athletic. It feels like it wants to go, but is it an M series? You can't really judge it on those terms. Yes, the Gemballa tune gets you slightly larger injectors, but what a racing tune was in the 80s is basically just a 93 tune today. So, let's address the elephant in the room that I showed you a picture of in the beginning. Gemballa was a tuning company named after its founder and Porsche tuner, Uwe Gemballa. Uwe Gemballa. They made aftermarket parts primarily for Porsche and Ferrari. The company grew in popularity from its founding in 1981, becoming synonymous with extravagant body kits and athletic tunes, one of which held a lap record at Nürburgring for a time. All right, hill time. Sorry I'm not doing the best gear shifts, and here's where you're running into the engine displacement. My foot's on the floor. Yeah. Of course, again, I have to think in terms of the 80s. Yeah. And it continued for the better part of 3 decades until things went sideways in 2010. While on a business trip to South Africa to meet with a potential investor, Uwe Gemballa was abducted. The working theory at the time was that Gemballa was doing business with a crime boss from the Czech Republic. One of the crime boss's business associates later testified that Gemballa was part of a money laundering scheme that would have allowed the crime boss to smuggle over €1 million inside a car. But the payment was never made, and so the crime boss allegedly ordered the abduction. The kidnappers then forced Gemballa, or someone pretending to be him, to call his wife and ask her to pay the $1 million ransom. When the money didn't come in time, they did him in, and then wrapped him in cellophane, and left him to be found by the authorities. But what's odd about this is that Gemballa supposedly registered a second company before traveling to South Africa, naming his mother sole director, while giving power of attorney to his wife, which makes you wonder if he knew something was waiting for him on the other side of this business trip. Now, the company has managed to survive, and in the years following, there have been claims that Gemballa's murder was not due to his involvement in a money laundering scheme, but rather retaliation due to his refusal to participate in said scheme. Either way, it's a hell of a nasty way to go, but at the least, he left behind a legacy in the form of a car that's capable of being the first thing people think of when they think of the man, rather than how he left this world. Now, this isn't really listed as a BMW. It's a Gemballa, first and foremost. And I would think that it's to the car's benefit, because even back in the 80s, BMW was proclaiming their cars the ultimate driving machine, but that's the luxury promotional equivalent of Mopar or no car, which itself is the grown-up version of it's Nerf or nothing. A conditionally true statement that sounds like a stone-cold banger when the voiceover guy says it and literally no one else. So what do you want for it? How much does one of these things go for? My name is Barry Hofstetter, and I'm trying to lose weight. Chicken cheesesteak, please.
No soda for me. I got this quart of green tea from... green tea is good for you. It's good for your antioxidants.
I don't know, Barry Hofstetter. There's no data points on an E30 Gemballa, because this is the only E30 Gemballa. It holds a designation Corvette owners wish they didn't have to lie about, 1 of 1. So it's priceless, but not in a split-window Stingray way, more of a Hattori Hanzo sword way.
What? Just give me a ballpark figure. Yeah, that's a ballpark figure.
Barry, I can't answer that, because even Haggerty didn't know how to insure an E30 Gemballa, because there's no data. Haggerty did insure this for Dominic with an agreed-upon value as if this was an E30 M3 in fair condition, so you can go by that.
How much is that?
Barry, you call yourself a gearhead and you don't know the market values of E30 M3s?
No, I only ballparks from 1960 to 1960. No.
Okay. Okay. You okay, Barry? Do you have health insurance, Barry? In the 1980s, there was a thick line between luxury and adulterated prosperity. Today, class isn't as conspicuous because social media allows us to curate our lives for public display, so that what we present doesn't have to sync up to the reality in any way whatsoever. We can easily make it so that we're mistaken for someone who's far better off than we are. But in the 80s, it was a lot harder to do. Sure, plenty of con artists still did, but for the most part, if you had a Gemballa, you weren't faking it. Maybe you weren't rolling in Gordon Gekko money, but a Gemballa in the 80s was an automatic glow-up into the yubster territory. And while it may not be anything close to resembling that sort of car now, it does call to mind the notion that yuppies might be on their way back. Except instead of trust fund babies and investment sharks, we have Silicon Valley tech bros and crypto Kevins riding a wave as far as it'll take them. It really makes me wonder what modern cars will best represent the financial bro era. I mean, I guess we can just say Plaid edition Teslas and be done with it, but I think we need to find something else, something that sums up casual opulence as nicely as a Gemballa would. Something that isn't just a BMW, but a piece of history all its own. Treating this as if it's a normal E30, like I know I have limited grip.
Yeah.
So it's weird to think that there's still quite a bit of car on either side of me, and I could be taking these corners much, much faster. But again, I have to think about those tires. They are from 2017, at least one of them is. And a newer tire is going to have better grip than a wider, older one.